I'm a little bit all over the place with this video, to be honest, because as I'm looking over the footage, I realize there's a lot of little beautiful things that I would love to share, but I don't really know if this is the place for that. So what I will do is just focus on my sketchbook. Um, and then at the end of the video, after I share with you everything in my sketchbook, I'll include some vlog clips and various little things that I took while on the trip just because I think they're really pretty and inspiring. And if you're interested, watch to the end and you hopefully will be inspired by them too. Um, but before I get into the sketchbook, I did want to mention the Marché aux Puces that we went to in Paris because that technically should have been part of the Paris vlog. I had a lot to share though, and I just didn't have room for it. So before I dive into the sketchbook, I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the flea market as an excuse to share the clips from it because I think you will be really inspired by some of these paintings. I don't know if you guys, Americans, have any experience in the States of like a similar thing to this. Because for me, like the flea markets in France are just another story. Like you can find the most beautiful original paintings from like ages ago, too. Like they're antique, gorgeous oil paintings. They're kind of affordable. I mean, the one we went to um, the Marché à la Porte de Vanves. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Anyway, I'll flash it on the screen. Um, and I've heard that there are a lot cheaper ones that you can go to. My sister was telling me this, but anyway, that's one we went to. It goes on for so long. I don't know how long this market is, but it's just like you could walk forever. And there's so many inspiring paintings and antiques and objects that, oh my goodness, I had to share a little bit with you guys because I think you're going to be similarly inspired. Well, you don't know how lucky you are if you live in Paris or anywhere near there and you can go to these flea markets. You're so lucky if you love antiques and if you love paintings as much as I do. Anyway, so that was that. I hope you've enjoyed this footage. The other thing I quickly wanted to share with you guys was just the experience of being at Giverny in Monet's garden and in his house. It was so beautiful. Yeah, it was such a privilege to get to go because I've been dreaming of going there all my life pretty much. Like ever since I was a young kid, I've wanted to go and see Monet's garden. So the fact that we got to do that was such a blessing and I loved it. I loved it so much. I just like thinking back at how beautiful it was with the sunlight streaming through the leaves and like everything in bloom. We thought things weren't going to be in bloom anymore either. So that was like a big what's the opposite of disappointment? It was the opposite of disappointing because it was a fun surprise. There we go. Yeah, it was just really gorgeous. And so I wanted to show you some of the clips from it. I'll probably keep in some too with just the original audio so you can get a sense of like the piece. Although there were a lot of people. This is the thing. I always feel this like torn between absolutely loving the experience of being at like a museum or a garden, like like a place I've always dreamed of going, and then also being really annoyed that there's such like a crowd and that you can't really enjoy it the same way that you would if you were alone or just, if there were less people. I'm sure we can all relate to that. And I talk a little bit about that more at the end of this video. I had sort of a contemplative chat, which if you've been watching, I kind of like to do. So anyway, I get more into that a little bit later. But yeah, I think right now I'm just going to switch to overhead. Well, maybe first I'll show you, I'll hold it up so you can see my finished sketchbook. I'm very, very delighted with this sketchbook. I just put the finishing touches on the cover. I labeled it France, and then I put 2025, 2022. Super cute. Yeah, if you haven't been watching, then you don't know that I made this sketchbook. And it's the very first one that I've made, at least in recent years. I did like a Coptic stitch and yeah, made the whole thing. So of course I love it. It's like my baby. And I didn't fully fill it up on the trip. I spent some time like in the following week after returning home filling the pages that I didn't get a chance to fill. And yeah, now I'm ready to share it. So I'll switch to overhead and show you everything I painted and sketched while in France. All right, so here's the cover. I glued like a piece of paper to the front and back and the insides. And it did get a little bit buckly here because I was really using and abusing it on the trip, of course. But other than that, like it held up super well. So yeah, that's the cover. And then this page was actually in a little journal that I brought, and I drew this on the plane on the way there. It was dark, all the lights were out as they typically are. And I was just in this place where I could not focus on a movie or listen to anything or read a book or try to sleep or anything. I just knew I needed to draw, like I needed to do something with my hands and with my brain. So that's what this is. And yeah, I really liked it and wanted to include it in the sketchbook. So I just cut it out of the journal and taped it in here. This was the first day when we very first got there. I just did this quick sketch of the window in our hotel room. This is a hotel that I kind of have grown up going to because it's down the street from my great aunt's apartment in Paris. So it's really special to me. It's not just like, oh, this was our hotel room and this is the first time I've ever been in there. Yeah, it's kind of a place that I've grown up going to, and drawing this window scene felt very just like nostalgic and like, I don't know, like a way of saying hello to this space that I haven't been to for a while, but that is kind of like a second home to me in a way. This was at the airport. This was actually in San Francisco before we got there. So you'll see I jumped around a lot within the sketchbook, so everything's kind of out of order. But yeah, this was my mom and niece, just kind of doing a really quick impression of them, and then some people sitting at the airport. I really, especially with this, I wanted to think about composition and like how I would make something interesting. I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from the painters that I admire, and having like something in the foreground, like this figure, like part of a figure, and then focusing kind of on these objects rather than people, and then having the people kind of be this background thing. This one really far away that's just a smudge basically, and you can just see like the backs of people. And yeah, so I really like this. I like how this turned out. And that's kind of what I was going for when I drew that. And this is all with water soluble pencil. This was a painting of the view out the hotel room window, which I showed in my last video, if you saw that. I think it's really shining in this light. Like this golden color with the sunlight hitting the table right now is super beautiful. So yeah, I really like this painting. It's quite loose and I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on it. And I just love the way that it turned out, I guess, trying to capture the mainly the light in the trees and kind of on this sidewalk. I think this was a wait 5:17. No, so this is like a kind of sunset golden hour lighting. But yeah, I just love the light in this painting. Also, I love this car coming in here. Okay, this was a quick painting based on a photo I had taken on my phone earlier that day. My niece loves this merry-go-round, so I have a lot of photos of her on that. And then this is my husband. I really like how this little painting slash sketch turned out. Yeah, this one was from life, and I just sat there and really quickly did this simplified sketch of him, just kind of like leaning back on the bed, looking at his phone. And I love the painting here, kind of these objects and the offset. It's like symmetrical but not. Yeah, big fan of that. And then this one was from a photo. Someone in the paint club mentioned that this reminded her of like Degas' ballerinas all huddled together. And I absolutely love that. And since she said that, I have not been able to see it any other way. Like this is the chairs, you know, like cafe chairs leaned up against tables. And you can't really even see the tables in this painting. But yeah, it really does. They sort of have like a personality, like they're almost like dancers, all like conspiring together, or doing their warm ups or something. Chaises en osier sous la pluie. So yeah, chairs, wicker chairs in the rain. So I guess this was also during that super rainy day. And so these marks here, it's all kind of meant to like have this glistening effect of like everything was pretty soaking wet at that time. Okay, these sketches I'm not too crazy about, but I liked to experiment on this trip with sort of different styles. So this was just a very simple sketch I did of myself with that water soluble pencil. Um, and yeah, I quite liked it at first, but I think the more I filled up the rest of the book with different styles, the more I was less a fan of this, especially on this type of paper. I think what bothers me a bit is the texture that you can see so clearly. I just don't think it works well with the pencil sketch. I'm not sure. Let me know if you guys disagree. And then this as well. So this started out more along the lines of this, and then I went in later and added all this like hatching and cross hatching, um, just because I don't know, for fun and to test it out. And it's really not my style of drawing. So it's not that I dislike it, but it just feels very not me, like just something I tried out, but I'm probably not going to go back to. And that was a detail from a painting at Notre Dame, which I think I snapped a photo of from this book at my aunt's house. She has a book all about Notre Dame and like the reconstruction of it. Okay, I feel like I need to move because of this shadow. Okay, so these two sketches are based on my favorite stills from the vlog footage that I took. These I did just with my mechanical pencil in the airplane, actually. And then this is just the painted versions of them. So I think I did this, yeah, October 4th. I did this back when we were home, and I just used acrylics and recreated the pencil sketches in color. I just am such a big fan of, especially this one. Well, I love both. I love the tiny, tiny paintings. Like, that is just so satisfying to me, that absolutely minuscule people. And then I really love this one. This reminds me so much of like a film still, like a movie. There's such a sense of like movement and I don't know, like you really feel, and maybe it's because I was there, but to me, I don't know, you really feel like you're there when I look at that. Okay, this was based on a mosaic that was on the ceiling of the American Soldiers Memorial at Omaha Beach. Um, yeah, this I worked on and kind of like reworked, and I'm still not super thrilled with it, but I do think it is an interesting painting, and um, yeah, I do like it. I think I learned a lot while making it, just about what was working and what wasn't working. And then this was inspired by a soldier's uniform detail. This was like my favorite thing at Les Invalides, um, was just like the paintings of military personnel in their uniforms, because there's so much, you know, like the symbols and the colors and the frills and the medals, like everything is just so over the top, and you know everything means something, but I think what was most interesting to me is just like the art of it, and how they're dressed, it almost looked like they're all like paintings. Like, how do I explain this? Yeah, I think you guys get it. It's just like an abstract composition, but it is inspired by a uniform. And maybe I'll flash up the photo in case that doesn't make sense, and then you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this spread I really, really love. This is a painting of my dad, my niece, and my sister um, in Monet's garden, and I just love the colors. Like, I think this turned out really, really nice. I might make a full scale painting of this actually, because every time I've flipped through this, this really catches my eye as being like one of my absolute favorites. I love the red sweater on my little niece there, and the color, that kind of bluish green of the purse strap mixed with the olive of her sweater. It's just working. It's just really lovely. And then I decided to do a little watercolor, which I don't normally work in this style. It's very illustrative, kind of reminds me of like a children's book, and it's quite accurate compared to a lot of the painting I've been doing lately. Um, but yeah, it's my brother with a sheep when he was little, and the reason I did it on the trip was because my aunt has these family photo albums. And so I just snapped a picture of this adorable old photo because it's cute, but also because it reminded me like his red sweater, which he used to wear this all the time. It totally reminded me of my little niece's sweater. And yeah, I just thought that would be like a nice side by side here next to this one. And yeah, I think it's really lovely. Very happy with both of these little paintings. I really love how this painting turned out as well. This was from life, so I wasn't looking at a photo. And it was my dad and brother playing cards and drinking foamy beers. And yeah, something about this, like I didn't have a photo and they were obviously moving around a bunch. So I just kind of had to try to remember like what their hands looked like when they were in a certain position. And I just love how that turned out. Yeah, Normandy, exclamation. Le 29 septembre, jeu de cartes. Yeah, so this was late at night too, 10:09. Love it. Okay, if you watched my last video, you didn't see how this looked at the end, but you saw me working on it. So this is how it turned out. It's just like a close-up of the view through that grate out the window, and I really love it. I had mentioned in that video that I wanted it to almost look like a quilt or a tapestry, and I think that really is how it looks. It's very pretty. Okay, this was a quick sketch I did, also based on a photo of my mom and niece on the metro. I really like how this turned out. It reminds me a lot of Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, his drawing style. And it very much is my style. Like I just this is like me going super fast. But yeah, I think you'll see throughout the book that my sketching style has like a few different variations, and it very much depends on just like the mood that I'm in and whether or not I'm overthinking at all. And I think this is me not overthinking, which is, when I'm at my best, of course. So really love how this turned out. And then also this was a similar pencil sketch. I think it had been a little bit more precise, also based on a photo, and it's just my sister taking a photo at the tomb of Napoleon. And I wasn't obsessed with it, so that's why I went in with color. Like I didn't go in with color here because I just really like this sketch. This one, I was like, it's whatever. So I went in and just like quickly added some paint. And I've never done anything quite like that because I obviously left the pencil marks. I left it a bit bare. I didn't really do any layering or color mixing so much, maybe like a tiny bit on the hat, but like, yeah, in general, it's just a bit of raw color, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just really gorgeous, and I love the offsetness of this. So this spread makes me very happy. This was just a test page. So I did this right after making this book, and I wanted to make sure that it was like the paper was going to hold up well on my trip. So yeah, this was an acrylic and chalk pastel that I did just at home before we left. These are more water-soluble pencil sketches. This was like a sculpture, I think, at the park. Super quick outline of like my niece, this stuffed animal that we bought at the market. His name is Crepe. Glass of beer. My sister, niece, my husband. I think this was at the metro station, and then this was at a pub called Galway in Paris. Yeah, just a quick little portrait of Ethan. I think this was a light, like a sconce next to him. All right, this was the painting that I did. If you watch to the end of the video, you'll see me working on this, and this was me painting the view from the window at the second or third story of our Airbnb. Um, yeah, this was right after we got there, and I was just enchanted with the beauty of the house and the views, and I wanted instantly to just paint something. So that was the first thing that I painted there. And then this is an interior from the house, which also this room I was just drooling over. At a certain time in the evening, it would get this golden light, like the entire room was glowing, this like pinkish gold. And being in there just felt like being in like a cathedral slash home, like very homey, but also something like almost like sacred feeling about the light. Not to be dramatic, but I will put like a little bit of video footage and you guys will see what I mean probably. Okay, this is a bowl of red plums and apples that I picked from the apple tree. You'll also see footage of me working on this, and you'll know the context of the fruit if you keep watching. But yeah, that was just a little still life that I did. Okay, this is an example of me sketching when I'm not at my best and like kind of overthinking. This was also from life, and yeah, I don't hate it. I think I really captured my brother well because that, I don't know. It's not that I'm trying to make these look exactly like the person, but I think you get it. It's like a combination of like you want it to look like them, but also just to capture something of their like essence, you know? Um, and I don't think I really did that for my mom or my husband, but for Michael, I think it's working. But anyway, the drawing in general is just kind of a little bit overthinky. And but it was hilarious. It was such a fun moment. I'm so glad that I did sketch this moment because my dad was being so funny. He said, anyway, I put a quote from him. Um, but yeah, so all that to say, even if a drawing's not your favorite, it still has a place and can hold a lot of good memories and like have been really useful to you. Yeah, not all drawings have to be good. And even if it's not your favorite, don't feel like you have to cover it up or leave it out of your sketchbook or rip it out, whatever. This page, though, is kind of an example of the opposite of me like not liking a page, but then adding to it and kind of covering it until I do like it. So I've done both, you know. Sometimes I just feel like, yeah, I need to just keep adding to this until I like it. Other times I feel like, you know what, I don't love it and let's just move on and it's whatever. But yeah, it had just been a pencil sketch of this water lilies painting that I did on site, like at Musée Marmottan. And yeah, it was just kind of boring. I don't know. It just there wasn't enough to it. And then I added the color, and I was like, I liked it, but then on the background it just wasn't working. So then I added this red. I like had covered up some things and then painted it in pink and then added this frame. And all in all, like by the time I was finished with this page, I was obsessed with it. I think it looks really wonderful. I love the pink of the label. And I love the expressiveness of just these quick marks. So yeah, that is an example of just kind of adding to something until you are pleased with it. So yeah, this was at Musée Marmottan, which is a museum that has a lot of Monet paintings. This was a drawing of a bust of Monet. Honestly, the likeness isn't super great, as you can tell from the fact that there's two versions of the same bust and they look quite different. But it was more about just like, I don't know, kind of trying to capture the look on his face. And um, this one, obviously, I went in and these are both in water soluble, I think, but this one I went in with the water and I darkened it up and added all this background. And this one I decided to just leave it as it was. These are more just simple, quick pencil sketches of the Monet paintings that I was falling in love with in that gallery. And then a quick sketch of my dad, which I also did from life, as he was holding that position long enough for me to actually draw him. Though I don't think he knew I was drawing him. Sometimes if you tell people, then they'll move, you know, or like not even consciously, but they'll move. So yeah, if you can be sneaky about it, sometimes you can get a good drawing before somebody changes position. This I also really like, and this was a kind of an unexpected style. It's based on a photo that my brother took of me pretending to be like crowned or whatever, like coronated. That's probably not a word, but yeah, it was just like a painting on the wall, and it looks like I'm praying to the guy. I didn't know what to do with my hands, and anyway, it was just a funny moment. And then when I was at the hotel room looking through my phone for like interesting things to paint, I realized it was actually a pretty fun painting composition with all of this beautiful like texture and line and stuff in his outfit. And then I love the way I handled the background with that green color. It's all just super loose, and I didn't sketch it or anything first. I just went straight in with the paint. This I spent a lot more time on, and it was detail of a uniform. This was also from a painting, and I just, yeah, I kind of got sucked into this painting when I was working on it. I just kept adding to it, and I think it's really lovely. It really does capture like what I found so inspiring about that sleeve, just like the white. I love the like frosting looking kind of edges, and yeah, super beautiful. Okay, this was an interior that I think we all just fell in love with. This clock, and this, I don't know what this is. A crock pot. It's not a crock pot. It's, I don't know, some beautiful dish. And on this mantle, and they had taken out the chimneys at this house and turned them into windows. So instead of being a working fireplace, it just had this beautiful window with a gorgeous view out the back. Yeah, love this painting too because I was able to capture the light, the shadow on this green chair, the sunlight on the edge of the table, the highlight on the edge of this coffee cup, and then this sun that just like kind of was drawing lines in a sense through the room. I think I did a pretty good job of capturing that. And this was a painting of my mom that I had her pose for a picture. And then I painted this based on the picture. And I'm also very happy with how this turned out. I think I was a little bit too hesitant when it came to the face, and I should have pushed it further and like been okay with it being less realistic. You come up against that a lot when painting family members. I think that's typical, is that like we really want it to look like them. And so sometimes we sacrifice like the integrity of the painting in favor of like trying to make sure we don't mess up the face or make sure it looks like them. Because you could see like I was very free with like the clothes and the background. Like here, I love all of that. And I do like the face. But I think I was just like a little bit too afraid of ruining it because I did like it, if you know what I mean. Okay, this spread is really fun. I like the craziness of how it like goes onto the next page, and then this frame, I did the spoon and fork, just kind of super sloppy coming off the edge. So yeah, big fan of this spread. It makes me happy. This is a painting of this creamy, lemony fish that my great aunt made us and served to us, and then it totally went with her tablecloth. So I had to snap a picture, and then later I painted this after we got back home. Yeah, I just had like these red peppers on top and herbs, and it was just like very beautiful. I love when food looks like a painting, and it often does. So yeah, anytime I can paint food that just like already had the sense of being a painting before I even painted it, it makes me so happy. This was a pencil sketch of my niece in the car. And this is like kind of a combination of my two sketching styles. The one being like with the profile of her face and like these little details of her face that are going to determine whether or not it looks like her. I was a little bit like precious with it, you know. I focused and like tried to really copy it. But then with everything else, I just kind of went wild and like let it be what it was. And I actually really like that combination. Sometimes I prefer when the entire thing is extremely loose, and if I get tight with any of it, it kind of throws me off. But for this one, I think the balance is quite successful, and I really like how that turned out. This was a profiterole, which is a dessert, like a cream puff dessert. So, so good. So I had to paint that. Um, I don't think this painting is quite as successful as this one, so I'll put a photo of this so you can see just how good it looked. It was really, really delicious. These are just like very simple object studies. So this was a jug that was, I believe, in Monet's kitchen or something. So during that walkthrough, it was an item that I snapped a picture of. I really like how this painting turned out, just the softness of it. And then this was a coffee cup. I will also put a picture. I just loved the color combination of the teal, is that teal? Aqua, with the red cup. Okay, this was a sketch I did in the car, which I don't typically do because I get very road sick, but occasionally I'll pull it out and I'll just sketch just quick enough that I don't get sick. So that was one because we were driving past really beautiful scenery with water and boats and all that. This was a house in Dives-sur-Mer. I think it was a house, it was something. It had this plaque on it that said Les Capucines, which is my favorite flower. So I just had to capture that somehow. These were little objects I collected. So some shells from the beach, some berries and flowers. So yeah, these objects were just so charming to me and I wanted to paint them somehow. So I didn't want to set up a whole like still life, I suppose, and do a background. So I ended up just doing this. And then since the page was so blank, I added la collectionneuse, which means like the collector. And there's actually a movie called La Collectionneuse by Eric Romer. One of my favorite films. Actually, I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but he is one of my favorite filmmakers, and he has created my favorite films. La Collectionneuse is like it's visually gorgeous, but I don't know if the storyline was that interesting to me, honestly. I only watched it once. Okay. This was based on a photo that I took also in Monet's house. You guys can tell I have a favorite thing that I saw on the trip. Yeah, a corner of Monet's house in Giverny. I was just very much in love with the colors here, the sort of purple of the door and the green walls. I put my mom's arm and my niece's back just because I loved it. Just happened to like be in my photo, and I love the stripes. They just add like some visual interest there. And then somebody's purse had been blocking this section of the photo, and so I just described that by, doing this. That's kind of my signature mark, honestly. Just a little floopy doopy, whatever you call that. I love making that mark. And yeah, I'm super happy with how this painting turned out. I would definitely do a large scale painting of this composition. I think it's really interesting and really lovely. This is another just pencil sketch with, it's water soluble, so I did go in and add more shadow with water afterward, based on a photo. And I was just playing with composition and like getting my brother-in-law's face mostly in shadow, and then my niece and she's like mostly obscured by this, you probably can't tell, but it's like a hand. Anyway, so I was just kind of playing around with like interesting composition there. These were very quick sketches, which also I think have like a particular charm to them. My husband and brother playing cards. We played a lot of cards on this trip. It was so much fun. And then that's our house that we stayed in. And then my dad and my brother sitting on the couch. I also love this. Very loose, very playful. You can tell by the end, I was really trying to fill this guy up and like not have to spend too long on every page. But then I did this. So this was also from Monet's house, like a tobacco jar and a plate that he had, or I don't know if he had it. I don't know how like true they are to like how he would have had things, or if these are even his possessions. I assume they are, but maybe they're not. Anyway, these were both in his dining room, which was a yellow room. And so I had to get that yellow background. And I did end up spending a while on these, and these are a lot more precise, obviously, than a lot of the other paintings. This, super quick, just based on a photo of my brother and sister, and another very quick of the house that we stayed in, and then just like a paint sketch of that basket of red plums and the apples. So I did these quick because I was just kind of getting tired of sketching, and like I just wanted to fill up the book. But honestly, there's something so wonderful about these. Like, this might be one of my favorite spreads. And I think it's just because, I was just like, I'm just going to capture like the bare essence of the things. And there's something I just adore about the result. And then this similarly is like one of my favorite spreads. So this I think is one of my favorite paintings, probably my favorite painting that I made in this whole book. I think it's just so lovely. Like, it's such a good mix of extremely free and loose, and then also like capturing the necessary detail of my sister's face and the baby. And yeah, just the marks on this. I'm obsessed. So I started the painting out by just laying down this ground of like dark green. And I actually did that without knowing what I was going to paint on it. I was just like, I'll just lay down a ground. And then I was looking through my photos from the trip, and something about the shape, because I had left like, there was like a shape in the ground. As you can see, like I didn't cover it up entirely. And something about the shape of it reminded me of the shape of my sister and the baby in this image. And I was like, okay, that's what I'll paint there. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I really should make a bigger painting of this, maybe do it on wood or something. And then this one is another just super simple, super loose, on the bridge at in Monet's garden. Yeah, my sister, mom, niece, and dad. And I really like how that one turned out as well. And then the very last little sketch was also at Giverny. Oh my gosh, it's just got to be hands down like the most beautiful place we went. I just couldn't stop painting it and drawing it. Yeah, so that's just, I don't even know. I didn't take this photo. This was from our shared family album. So I think my brother-in-law took this or something. And it's just like my family all standing together, chatting. And this was the house. I loved just the lines in the sky. It was a detail that I noticed like after I started sketching, and I was like, I have to add that. It almost looks like telephone wires or something, but yeah, I just love those cloud lines. All right, that was a lot. That was long, but at long last, that is the end of the France sketchbook. Now, on to some vlog footage. I just got some apple, or I picked an apple from this tree. It's super good. I think I'm gonna put that in the dessert that I make later. So I got some stone fruit. I'm not sure what kind. I think it'd be really good with apple too. Alors tout à l'heure, j'ai acheté ces fruits pour faire un dessert. Je vais pas utiliser une recette. Je vais juste utiliser ce qu'on a sous la main pour préparer un dessert. Mais avant, je vais goûter ça parce que je sais pas du tout ce que c'est. C'est très joli. Voilà, ça dit prunes rouges. Red plums. Red plums. There's so many different kinds of plums. Usually they're not my favorite because they're very tart, but these ones are not too tart, not too sour. They're pretty sweet. They almost taste a little like cherries. Avant de préparer les fruits pour le dessert, je vais faire une nature morte avec les prunes dans un bol rose comme ça. It really does look kind of like a cherry. Et puis la pomme que j'ai coupée. J'aime bien quand on peut voir, comment ça s'appelle? Une graine. Je sais pas. Mais quand c'est coupé en deux et on peut voir l'intérieur. Bon, j'ai tout coupé et heureusement qu'il y a un pommier là parce que sinon je n'aurais pas eu assez de fruits pour faire mon dessert. Mais voilà, ça va être très bon. Voilà, et je vais le mettre au four pendant 45 minutes. J'ai fini avec beaucoup de cannelle. J'aime trop le cannelle. J'espère que les autres l'aiment aussi parce que j'en ai mis beaucoup.
You're in the middle right now.
Oh, I am?
Mm-hmm. The end of the stairs is the end of the frame.
And you can see my socks?
Oui?
Ça marche.
inside. 36.
C'est du romarin. That's sage. This is oregano, I think. I think that's oregano. Mint.
Okay, good.
Rosemary for the potatoes.
Yep.
They have sage. They have oregano.
Natalie doesn't like oregano.
I don't think she minds it cooked. She doesn't like the smell of it fresh because of this vomiting story. But we don't have to use it. We could just do
Pick some.
rosemary. I'll just do sage and rosemary. Maybe a little bit of oregano.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a big bumblebee. Une abeille. Coucou. Une grande abeille.
It's especially better on the two-player game.
We haven't tested it.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking it really helped.
So we're here. I mean, if I walk in my shoes, yeah, it's,
Okay, but for real, I cannot decide what to paint first. Like, should I paint a view out the window or one of the interiors? I truly can't decide. I'll let you know when I do. Alors, je sais pas si vous pouvez m'entendre bien parce qu'on entend l'eau qui coule. Oh là, il y a un monsieur qui vient d'épingler ses vêtements. En fait, j'avais envie de peindre les vêtements qui sont pendus sur des lignes, des cordes à linge. Il va les retirer. J'avais envie de cette rouge et il y a une rouge et une rose sur la ligne. Oh là là. Mais il va les enlever. Oh well. J'ai décidé, comme vous pouvez le voir, de me mettre juste devant la fenêtre de la chambre de mes nièces pour peindre la vue. Il va falloir que je rajoute les couleurs avant qu'elle les retire. Oh là là, monsieur, vous ne savez pas à quel point vous gâchez ma peinture. Non, je rigole. C'est très calmant ici. C'est tranquille, assez silencieux. J'ai envie de tout peindre ici. Vraiment, j'ai l'impression qu'il faut profiter de ce moment. Parfois, je me sens comme une pression de capturer, to capture memories, moments, places, and especially since I do it through painting, sometimes it can feel like a lot of pressure, like not the good sort, because I don't want to miss it and I don't want to fail to capture anything that feels important. It feels worth capturing, worth remembering, worth translating into art. So I try to remind myself to just enjoy, you know? I don't have to capture it all. And sometimes a place, I think it can like live on inside of you. A memory, a period of time, a trip, that kind of thing. It's not like my only chance to capture the feelings and the experiences of this trip is during the trip. Like I'm bringing all that back with me inside my mind and in my memories. So yeah, like if I don't, I think all you can hear right now is the traffic, but I'm gonna talk anyway. Yeah, it's not like if I don't capture it, it'll all just disappear instantly. And I think there's something about the disappearing nature of time and memories that makes them more precious. And I think now with our iPhones, it seems like everyone's obsessed with capturing everything. Like me too, you know. I noticed it today at Giverny in Monet's garden. You know, it's like the most beautiful place, and everybody is taking it all in, and then at the same time like trying to capture it through photos and video. And like I was doing the same, of course, like parce que j'avais envie de vous montrer un peu ce à quoi ça ressemble si vous n'avez pas l'opportunité d'y aller un jour. Je sais pas, je trouve ça génial qu'on peut partager ces instants et qu'on peut montrer tout ça et le prendre en photo pour nous-mêmes, parce que si un jour j'ai envie de le re-regarder. En fait, il y avait beaucoup de monde quand on était à Giverny, beaucoup de monde partout, et donc c'est un peu difficile d'en profiter autant qu'on veut. C'est difficile de prendre son temps, de regarder, de contempler. C'est même pas de l'art, c'était même pas les peintures de Monet, c'était les chambres, c'était sa maison et puis son jardin. Mais si on veut contempler, si on veut rester un moment et imaginer ce que c'était la vie de Claude Monet, imaginer comment il se sentait quand il était là, comment sa vie et ses jours s'est déroulés. C'est difficile parce qu'il y a des foules et il y a du monde partout et il faut toujours avancer. On est un peu pressé parce qu'il y a la queue qui tout le monde attend pour avancer. So yeah, I like to take a lot of photos and video so that I can look at it later and like actually take my time with it and remind myself. So it's cool to have actually been there, to be in the rooms, and then I'm glad to have the photos of it so later I can look at them and remind myself, like just take more time and look at details. So I'll have both, like the experience of having been there and the photos. So I understand this desire to take photos of everything, and I'm part of that. But when you're not on your phone, like when you're not taking photos and you see everybody doing it, it does strike you as like a little bit sad, like we should be more present. So I kind of feel both things, and I tried to balance it out. I tried to not be too concerned with taking photos and video, and taking video is actually easier because I just kind of like had my phone and was holding it up and not looking at the screen and not like thinking too much about what I was filming. I just was walking around and looking at everything for myself, and then it's nice to have that video later and I can rewatch it and kind of relive it and then pick certain parts to show you guys or to put in my family vlog. I'm making like a family vlog too, so that'll be really fun. I've never done anything like that because I'm not much of a video, like I've never been big into taking videos until I started the channel. I love watching videos. I love watching like our old family home movies, and that's something that we don't do anymore. And I've never been one for taking a lot of phone videos, but I think like when it's The portrait videos, they don't interest me as much. I don't know why. Like as soon as it switched to landscape, it feels more like a home video. It feels more like, I don't know, a lasting thing. Whereas like little short clips that I take in vertical, they don't have the same vibe. And I know it's silly, it's just like a small thing, like the orientation of it, but that's how I feel. So yeah, since I've been doing the YouTube videos, I thought, why not take a bunch of footage of the family and create a family vlog. Not really vlog so much in that I'm not like talking to the camera and explaining the trip or anything, but just like I'm gonna choose the best clips and put them together with music and stuff. I think that'll be really fun. Il va peut-être falloir que je me concentre un peu plus sur ce que je peins. Alors je vais arrêter de papoter. Mais je suis toute seule. J'ai envie d'avoir quelqu'un avec qui je peux parler. Alors vous me faites du bien là. It's really fun to be able to use my French when we're here, because normally my life just does not involve speaking French at all. And it shows when we come here and I'm out of practice. Actually, this is only the third time that I've been to France since like learning to really speak it. Yeah, so the first time I was like ecstatic. I was so excited to like actually use my French and for people to respond to me. It felt like so cool. Last time we came 2 years ago, I was like really in practice because I had still been just like spending a lot of time on it and practicing a bunch. So that was really cool. And this time I've not been practicing. I've not been keeping my French as sharp. So ça m'est arrivé de dire des bêtises. Mais je crois que for every like one ridiculous thing that I say, I probably say about 10 like normal things, so it's pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's kind of funny. It's humbling and fun to learn a foreign language. It really is. Here's the jaune.